Hello, or kia ora if you're joining us from New Zealand. For our colleagues across the ditch today, thank you for joining us for this ADCET webinar, product demo for CaptionEd, making learning more accessible with assistive tech. My name is Darren Britton, and I am the National Assistive Technology Project Officer with the National Disability Coordination Officer Program and part of the Australian Disability Clearinghouse on Education and Training, that is ADCET for short. This webinar is being live captioned. To activate the captions, click the CC button located in the toolbar, either the top or the bottom of your screen. We also have captions available via the browser, and Jane will add a link to chat for that now. I'll start off by I'm joining you today from the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation here in Melbourne, Victoria, and I would like to pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today that are joining us, and acknowledge their ongoing connection to country, land and sea. Before we begin, just a few brief housekeeping details. This webinar is being live captioned by Donna from Bradley Reporting, and it will be being recorded. This recording will become available on ADCET in the coming days. If you have any technical difficulties today, please email admin@adcet.edu.au. That's admin@adcet, ADCET.edu.au. Throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the chat box to chat with us and with each other, but please remember to choose all panelists and attendees so that we can read what you have to say. If you have a specific question that you'd like to have directed towards Jack or to us, then please use the Q&A box for that. In today's webinar, we have Jack Douglas from CareScribe, which is based in the United Kingdom. And Jack's joined us very early in the morning to show us the CaptionEd software and give us a demo of how that works and how it can make learning more accessible. So thank you for joining us at such an early hour, Jack, and I will pass over to you.
Thanks, Darren, and thank you everyone for giving me time to show you Captioned. It is very early over here, so if for starters, I had to check that my voice was working at this time of day, just because I don't think I've ever tried it other than to shush my baby to sleep. But as I say, thank you for making time for me today. I really appreciate it. My name is Jack, and I am one of the sales managers here at a company called CareScribe. As Darren said, we're based over in the UK. We are a remote company. We kind of started through the pandemic. There was a very small entity of the company beforehand, but then as the pandemic came along, the company grew, and we're sort of scattered all over sort of the UK, mainly within Bristol, which is just on the sort of west side of England, and then we have a couple of other people in places like Portugal and that kind of thing. We have a Kiwi actually, who's one of our main developers. So in terms of accents and that kind of thing, our software has been thoroughly tested with New Zealand accents, to say the least. So again, thank you for making time for me. And what I'm going to show you today is our captioning software, Captioned. So Captioned is a piece of software that we built back in 2018 or started to build back in 2018. There was a couple of UK universities that came to us and explained an issue that they were facing. The issue was there were CAG 2.1 guidelines were coming out, and they said that they needed to caption all of their media. So as you universities would know, universities have a lot of media spread across multiple different platforms. Some of those platforms have captions that are okay, some of them have captions that are terrible, and some of them don't have captions at all. So these UK universities, they came to us and they basically said, look, we've got stacks and stacks of media. It's spread across all over the place. It's going to cost us an absolute fortune, and it's going to take us a long time to caption this media. Is there anything you can build for us to help? So we put the developers put their heads together and sort of built on top of some speech to text technology that we had built previously, and they came up with Captioned. And so Captioned is a piece of software that you can access through desktop, a Chrome extension, and now there are mobile apps as well. And what it allows you to do is essentially caption absolutely anything on any platform, be it live or pre-recorded. And what I'm going to do today is give you a quick demo of that software to show you how it works. So the sort of key features that we'll look through today, first of all, is that they are real-time captions. So if you wanted to caption this seminar, for example, or if you wanted to caption a face-to-face conversation, you could do so with your mobile or any device that you had. You can also caption pre-recorded media, be that a lecture on Brightspace or on Moodle, or be that a pre-recorded seminar on YouTube. You would be able to get captions for that. We've tried really hard to make our software as accessible as possible. It's great having captions, and everyone knows captions are a good accessibility tool. But the fact is that we can do better than that. We can make things more customizable and better than that. And one thing that we like to think we're very good at as a company is listening to our users. The software was originally way back when our director started building the first product or the first piece of speech to text technology back about 5, 6, 7 years ago. The whole point of him building that software was because he was studying medicine. Somehow he and his housemates had time to build a piece of software. The reason they built it was because our director, was studying medicine. He's heavily dyslexic, and he was struggling to take in some of the complex language that came along with the subject of medicine. So not only are we one of those users, the everyday user that we sell our product to, we are one of those users. But what we also do is we really try and listen to that. And if I were to show you Captioned from even 3 months ago to now, you'd be able to see sort of the features that we've built on top of it. You can change things like the font, you can change the way that the captions appear on your screen, you can change the size of the box and that kind of thing. Anything that we have, anything that we would hope would make it customizable, we have tried to make that happen. Obviously, accuracy is a big thing. A lot of our customers are, and the sector that we know the most is education. We would be a useless product if our accuracy wasn't that great. A lot of the sort of captioning providers out there at the moment, they have good accuracy, but they have good accuracy on general conversations and general language. What we've tried to focus on is to be able to give you not only great accuracy straight out of the box, so the ability to pick up on different accents, different types of language, different ways in which people talk. But what we've actually done as well is build something called a subject matter bar. So if you are studying medicine, or if you are learning to become a lawyer, we have a couple of different subject matters that will allow our servers to hone in on those specific types of language, and therefore prepare our servers for that language to come out in the audio, and therefore have a specialist dictionary attached to that. So when complex language comes out, you'd be able to listen to that kind of language. We've tried to make the interface, as it says here, as unobtrusive as possible. Even as far as sort of like 3 weeks ago, we released a new version of the software, which allows you to provide notes on top of captions, and that part of the software is very much easier to show you than to explain. But basically, one of the pieces of feedback that we got instantly from our users was that because we now had 2 pieces of functionality instead of 1, the box in which that appears on the screen was taking up a bit too much of it. So we listened to the feedback, and now we've made the captioning box as unobtrusive as possible. Captioned is an extremely versatile piece of software. We're being used sort of in multiple universities across the UK and Ireland, a few across Europe, and there's 1 or 2 trying it out over on your side of the world as well. What we have is something called use cases. So there are multiple different use cases for the need for captions, and there's multiple different ways in which you can implement captions within your institution. One is a student-led approach. So we have, as I mentioned, a couple of different applications that you can give to your students, give them the independence to caption whatever they need to caption, and go about it that way. There's another scenario where you can do the same thing but on a smaller scale. So if you wanted to, one of the ways in which, particularly in Ireland, our software is being implemented is to be given what we call a seats-based license. So you would buy, say, 10, 15, 20 seats, and you would provide that to students within disability services. So those students that have a higher need than sort of the general population for captions, and that's been really well received within Ireland, in particular within their disability services, as what they're able to do is give the software to those that desperately need it, whilst they try and figure out a bigger plan for the rest of the university. Those seats, if you give 10 seats out, 8 of them are really engaged and are using the software. 2 of them aren't particularly and could probably do without. You can take those 2 seats away from whoever it is that isn't using it, and give it to. You can either give it to other students that may use it better, or you can take those minutes and give it to the 8 users that are acting really well and engaging really well. The export your info, that is kind of the third use case that we can talk about. So the third use case we can talk about is that you don't even really have to download the apps to get transcripts and to get exportable captions from Captioned. What you can do is you can just completely use the dashboard, upload your media to the dashboard. It will generate a full transcript for you, and what you can do then is export either a VTT file or an SRT file, as an example. There are other formats to provide you with exportable captions that you can then re-upload into your media hosting service. So the newest feature that we have is what we call notes. So it basically does exactly what you say on the tin. There is we've been building captions, as I mentioned, for quite a while now, and what we noticed was that captions are great and transcripts are great, and they were helping a lot of people, but at the same time, a lot of the students or a lot of the users that would benefit from having captions would probably benefit from a note-taking a note-taking tool as well. So what we built was, excuse me, was the ability to turn on a note-taking function. So whilst your captions and your transcripts are being generated in real time, you can actually take time-stamped notes alongside that, that you can then later refer to sort of after the session. As I say, it's quite a difficult thing to explain. So when I show you a demo in just a moment, hopefully that will make more sense. But it's a really useful tool, and I actually use it myself for sort of like all the Zoom meetings that I'm on and that kind of thing. It's a really handy tool. So I believe that was my last slide, and what I will do now is I will show you a demo of Captioned. So if I just close this down, I just want to check. Can everyone see this screen? Okay, now that I've changed it.
Yes, I can. Yep, that's coming through, Jack.
Brilliant. Okay, great stuff. So what we have here is just your everyday sort of YouTube video. How to stay calm under pressure. That has nothing to do with how nervous I was about doing a demo at 4 a.m. in the morning, I promise. But basically, this could be anything. This could be a Panopto lecture. This could be a Brightspace seminar that's been recorded. And virtually what you can do, as I mentioned before, you can access Captioned in a multitude of different ways. So you have a Chrome extension here, and you also have a desktop version here. Both of them have quite different functionality, and I will show you an example of both. What we have here with the Chrome extension, which is what I will show you first. This is the subject matter bar that I mentioned before. So what you actually have in here is it's a bit of a lie. There's a lot more stuff in there than subject matters. But basically, you have a couple of different accents: Australian English, US English, British English. You then have different languages. So if you are a student and you are studying French, you could get French captions on French media, and the same with all of these different languages here. And then what you have at the bottom is a couple of different subject matters. So as I mentioned, the subject matters, what they do is, if you are watching a health and life sciences video, so that could be a dentistry lecture, that could be a medical talk, that could be even a Zoom meeting. If you're lucky enough to get an appointment with your GP, a Zoom meeting with your GP, what you could do is you could select that, and that will just prepare our servers for that type of terminology, and therefore improve the accuracy of the captions. This video hopefully is in British English, so I will just leave it with that. This is one of the customizable features, so you can change the text size, and then we have different themes in here, and you can change those to suit your preference. What will happen is I will click play. The caption box will appear down here in the corner. I can move that around. I can put it wherever I like, and I can also resize it. I'm just going to put it down here as if we were watching subtitles on the TV. And then what I'm going to do is click play, and the captions will appear in this box.
Your favorite athlete closes in for a victorious win. The crowd holds its breath, and at the crucial moment, she misses the shot. That competitor just experienced the phenomenon known as choking, where despite months, even years of practice, a person fails right when it matters most. Choking is common in sports, where performance often occurs under intense pressure and depends on key moments. And yet, performance anxiety also haunts public speakers, contestants in spelling bees, and even world-famous musicians.
So as you can see there, at the moment, I have auto scroll on. So if I just move this up a little bit, I have auto scroll on. So the captions are scrolling to keep up with the speaker. You can scroll back, as I am now, to catch your place, or if you're a slow reader like I am, you can turn that off and scroll at your own pace to begin with. You can also see over here, there is a download button. If I was to click that, what that would give me is kind of my first sort of primitive version of a transcript. There are much more sophisticated versions of a transcript that are on offer, but if you wanted something there and then, for whatever reason, that is an option that you can view. If I just close this down and stop the session, what that will then do is, if I were to go to my dashboard, if I were to give this a quick refresh, what you can see here is that session has been captioned, and you can do things like download it, you can edit the transcript, and you can also, if you don't want to edit yourself, you can assign a task to someone else to edit the transcript for you. This is the dashboard, which comes with your application, or comes with your account, sorry. There's a number of different things that I can show you in here very quickly, and then I'll move on to the desktop application. As I mentioned before, you can upload media straight into this. So I have done that here. So there's an MP4 here. Basically, what you do is you just click on the upload media button. You then move it across, and then it will provide a full transcript and downloadable captioning file for that piece of media. You can also go to different applications. You can go to your library, where you can actually search for different previous sessions and that kind of thing. And then what we have here, which is probably the most interesting thing, is what we call a confidence rating. So with the confidence rating, what that is basically a relative measurement of how accurate the software thinks it's been whilst it's generated a transcript. So a lot of these sessions are quite good. 1 out of 5, obviously, we would probably want you to have a look at that. But if I go to, let's go for this one. So if we were to click here and click to edit this, so 2.3 out of 5, basically, oh, maybe that wasn't a good option to choose. There's not much in that one. Let's try this one. So as you can see at the top here, I was actually asked to edit this by myself a couple of days ago. What this will provide you with is these words that are highlighted in orange. So the words that are highlighted in orange are the low confidence words. So what this would enable you to do is, if you are someone that has to edit transcripts, and if you are someone that wants 100% accuracy within their captions and their transcripts, you can use this piece of software, which we call the transcript editor, to actually listen back
trillions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi,
and actually use this to listen to these words. So you don't have to listen to the whole thing. What you can do is
African Americans, feed on the mucus lining.
And as you can see, the majority of these words, well, all of them so far, the ones that are highlighted in orange, are actually correct. But rather than going through the whole thing, listening to each and every word and comparing it to the audio, you can just listen to the words that we've suggested, and therefore cut down editing time by 2/3. I think the thing that has been picked up a lot here is because I think these are American spellings rather than English spellings. But if I were to change this and then save that and make a change, what you can actually see is that change will be logged on the side. Now what I'll do is, if I go back to a video, is there a different video we could watch, or shall I just do this one again? Let's have a look. Let's see if this one's any good. So I just wait for the advert to go.
This video was made possible.
There we go. If we just move that back
This
here.
video was made possible by.
Sorry, trying to make sure it's at the
This
front.
video was.
It's not going to let me do that. So that's just to prove that I've just chosen a new video. I've never watched this video before, just so that I can sort of show you what I would personally do and how the desktop application sort of is different from the Chrome extension. So this is the desktop version. Again, there's a couple of different things in here that you can do. So you can go to your home, you can go to your library, as we just saw. It will just take you to your dashboard. You can upload media. If you need help, that's available here as well. So you can go to our sort of help center, which has lots of support documents. And then these are the most recent sessions. What we need to do first is click Start a New Session. If you wanted to, you could record your screen. So for example, if you were on a Zoom call and you wanted to record the visual part of that call or the video part of that call, you could do that. Or if you're watching a YouTube video and you want to record that, you can. Just for the sake of this video, I won't. The next step that it will provide is it will ask you whether you want to, or which piece of audio you want to actually caption, which is really handy. So the computer that will provide you with captions for the audio coming from your device. Microphone, if you're in a face-to-face situation, or if you wanted to dictate into captions, you could. So that's what the microphone's for. And then this here, which is very, very, very close to being finished, is the combination of the two. So what this would do is it will provide you captions and a transcript for both sides of a conversation in a hybrid situation. So if you are a student and you're at an in-person seminar, but there's also a couple of people that have dialed in via Zoom, you'd be able to get captions for both of those situations. What you have here, again, is the subject matter bar. So it's exactly the same as I showed before. But this is when the good stuff starts to happen. So if we click Start Session, the box will disappear, and then it will just quickly reappear on my screen over here. And this is what the captioning box looks like for the desktop version. So if I show you this to begin with, this is what the captioning view would look like. I can make this smaller, as I could with the other box, and I can make it wider as well. So if I just put it down here, basically what will happen is this is all completely customizable. So I can change this to notes only. So if I just wanted my notes, I can change it to a combination of the two. So the transcript will appear on this side, and the transcript will appear on this side, and the notes will appear on this side. I can add a line rule. Let me just make it bigger for the purpose of demoing it. I can attach a file. So if I'm in a lecture and I've been given a quick 10-minute sort of research task, I can go and find an article that relates to what we're learning about and then attach it to my notes. What you can also do, which is really handy, I can tick to keep this window on top. So we only released this whole version of Captioned about 2 months ago, and that wasn't something we had. For obvious reasons, we'd like the captioning window to stay on the top. So after listening to a lot of feedback from users, most of them were in the company, we've built something for that. You can also change the theme. So if we wanted to go for sepia, you could do that. And then you can also click here and go through to find sort of user guides on how to do various different things. So if I just move this over to this side, what will happen is once I click play, the captions will appear. Because this is a very, it just takes a couple of seconds for the audio to be picked up. So if the first couple of words are sort of gobbledygook, that's why.
It's made possible by the Great Courses Plus. Click the link in the description to get your free trial. Emotion. It's sometimes referred to as the spirit or the breath of life. It prescribes our action and colors our world. The one who can master the emotions can master actions, and the one who masters actions is the master of all future realities. Today we look at the stories of two different men, two different worldviews, two different goals, and ultimately two different paths.
So as you can see, what we have here is not only do I have captions which are customizable as they were beforehand, but I'm also able to take real-time notes. So here I can see that at 13 seconds in, something important happens. So I've marked that as important. And then what you can also see is that I was able to copy the whole paragraph across. And then I can also make notes and add line rules and that kind of thing. I can turn auto scroll on or off. But probably the best way to show you the full capabilities of this is if I end this session, emotions, let's call it, and save and close that. What I can do then, sorry, is if I go to back to my library, give this a quick refresh, you can see here that's currently generating. But what that will look like once I go into the session is something a bit like this. So what we have here is the screen recording that I took when I did this session. This is all in sync with the transcript. So if I wanted to play from here,
we need to change the way we think about the climate challenge.
This is all in sync. I can click in different places and it will play. I can skip forward or backward by 15 seconds. I can speed the talker up or down. I can also upload a PDF slideshow. So a lot of lecturers will hand out slides either before or after a lecture. I can actually attach that slideshow to the same piece of media. And then obviously I can go back and review all of my notes, which are all customizable. So that's a ridiculous note. So let's get rid of it. Now that I've had a look, I actually think this is really important and I want to copy that across. And the same with this guy here, he's important, so let's remember it. And then there's a note I've just made about myself. What this is all customizable and downloadable as well. So you can actually export the transcript and the notes together in a format. So you can also change what you see. So if this is quite overwhelming, you know, you've got 4 different sections to look at. Some students might find that quite overwhelming. You can actually take things off. So let's just say I want to look at the transcript and I want to look at the slides, or let's say I want to do the opposite of that. I am actually able to do that. Again, this is customizable in terms of themes. So if I wanted to change the modes, I can do that. And as I mentioned before, it's all exportable, and you're able to go to the help center to get help if you need it. So that is Caption. That is the version in which I showed you is the Chrome version, which is available on Chrome and Edge. There is the desktop version, which is this guy here. And then what we also have is the mobile version. And the mobile version is virtually the desktop version, but on your mobile. So what you can do is you can actually not only get captions and a transcript, but you can also make notes at the same time. So if I just click play on this, it's only 2 minutes long. This is a quick sort of demo of how that works.
I'm now going to do a quick overview of the mobile captioned app. Up in the top left corner, you can go to your menu where you can choose a theme. So there's light, dark, and sepia. There is also your sessions here. So these will be sessions from both the mobile app and the desktop application. If I click on record a new session, it will provide me with a language or subject matter. So if I choose to change this, if I were listening to a law lecture, I could select this and it would improve the accuracy as I'm preparing the server for that type of terminology. There's also a couple of different accents. and then there's languages as well. So we don't currently translate, but if you were to listen to German media, you would get German caption, British English. I will then select that I have permission because it's just me, but if there were others that were being recorded, you could ask them also. I will then start the recording, and now my voice will appear in caption form. What I can do is tap the captions, and I can mark something as important. I can copy something across, and I can also make a note. Click the tick. Then I can view my notes here, and I can also change the size of the font. Once I stop the recording, I can then name the session so that it's easy to refer back to. And that is an overview of the mobile app for Captioned.
Brilliant. So yeah, that's Captioned. Thank you for giving me the time to talk you through it. If anyone has any questions, or if anyone would like a trial account or anything like that, I'm more than happy to talk about that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jack. For that, we have a question. Can you see that in the Q&A pod there? A question around how it works with multiple languages spoken, ideally at the same time. You know, will it pick up some different languages? Yes, so say Maori and English. And you were mentioning before when developers New Zealand, so maybe there is some part there where it's used in the same sentence. Like my Wanu is busy on the farm. They are kei te pai. As an example.
So yeah, I get you. So one thing that we've kind of realized, because the question that we get asked on this side of the world for that is Latin, because for example, within Latin lectures or language lectures, they might chop and change in and out of languages. Unfortunately, it's not the most comprehensive answer that I have, but basically in regards to that, there are, within British English, there are a number of different sort of phrases that are recognized, and it might be that some of the Maori phrases are recognized and some of them aren't. So it's kind of a test it and see kind of thing, which isn't the sort of best answer that a salesperson would want to give. But what we always suggest is have a trial account, test it out in your own environment, put it through its paces, and see how it works on that kind of situation, because some languages it does really well with that. Like I say, Latin and words like deja vu in French and some sort of relatively common phrases of that regard, it does quite well. But then it might be that Maori is one that, again, it might have one or two phrases, but it might not have the whole sort of chopping and changing in and out of different languages.
No, that makes sense. So it's not specifically listening to every word and going, what language is this word in? And deciding that. If you could build something like that, maybe get the engineers to that, that would be, yeah, that would be invaluable, but that would be really difficult. I don't think we have the server capacities to make that happen currently. We've got another question here around feedback, interested in any feedback you've got with regards to the engineering or science-based subjects, because you've got those, custom dictionaries, as you were saying, added into those.
Yeah, so we have really, really good accuracy, basically, is the answer to that. And the majority of our, probably about 80% of our revenue as a company comes from the education sector. And if we weren't able to have good accuracy in areas like engineering and science, then we wouldn't really have a product to sell. And so the feedback that we've had from students that use it in that environment, is that they've been really impressed. There is a video that I could show you actually that has quite a difficult accent and quite a lot of complex terminology within engineering. So if you have 2 minutes, I can quickly show you that now, or as I say, I can give out trial accounts and you can put it through its paces in that way. Oh, I think you're on mute, Darren.
Just need to mute on, Darren.
Yes, technology. There we go. It wouldn't be the only person that's been said to. It's I was just saying we've got probably 2 minutes because we've got a little bit of time there. If it's only a 2-minute video, yeah, please do.
Certainly, yeah. Let me just find it quickly. Yeah, because we kind of try and find as part of our job, we try and find a is this the right one? Oh yeah, as kind of part of our job, we try and we're regularly testing it ourselves because no one wants to sell a product that doesn't work. So we regularly try and find them videos to try and put it through its paces and kind of see how well it does. Bear with me 1 second. I am very close to finding this video, I think. Here it is. If I just put that back to the beginning and then I will share my screen. There we go. So you don't have to watch too much of it. Let me just open the, it'd be good if I showed my screen first. Here we go. Okay, can you see that YouTube video okay?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, so if I then go to here, I will leave this on British English because I wouldn't say it's either of these and we don't have an accent filter for this guy's accent. But if we just click play, let me turn it up so that you can hear the complexity of it.
Hello everyone and welcome to our channel Chemical Kira. As this is the very first video in the fluid mechanics section, so we are going to discuss the syllabus for the fluid mechanics. Starting with the unit 1, that is fluid properties and fundamentals of flow, and the contents are brief history of fluid mechanics, fluids and their properties, continuum, density, viscosity, surface tension, compressibility, and bulk modulus. Concept of pressure, fluid statistics, Pascal's law, hydrostatic law, piezometric head, manometry. And these all will be covered within the video lectures from 1 to 5. Now moving towards our unit 2, that is laws of conservation. And the stuffs are system and control volume concept, Lagrangian and Eulerian description of fluid flow, steadiness and uniformity of flow, acceleration of fluid flow, streamlines, streak lines, path lines, rotational and irrotational flow, one-dimensional flow, derivations, Euler's momentum equation, linear and angular momentum, Bernoulli's equation, along with its derivation, application through various examples including flow measuring devices like orifice meter, venturi meter, rotameter, etc. And these all will be covered within the lectures from 5 to 10.
So as you can see on there, it's not perfect. There are a couple of words in there, for example, one and fun. And then there was Langarian. Is it Langarian? That's probably the most intelligent word I'll say today, which I think it got incorrect. So as a, it's not 100%, but he's got quite a difficult accent and there's quite a lot of complex terminology in there as well. So hopefully that's a good example. But as I say, the best thing to do is to get set up with a trial account and then put it through its paces on your own media, basically.
Thank you, Jack. Yeah, no, that was fairly fast as well with some of the, it's probably about the speed that I speak sometimes when I'm not purposely slowing down. Picking up those terms, that was actually quite impressive. And a good case scenario, I think, of that. So thank you for that. A few more questions here. Is it possible for one education account, like one site license kind of thing, and then loan out individual students? And is that activated by email address, or how are they assigned? Because I think you spoke about seat licenses.
Yeah, so you can buy individual licenses for students, but an individual license you would have to have kind of the same login details for it. You couldn't sort of like change it all the time. So maybe if you were to have like an AT department one that you just sort of lend out to students, and then but give them the same login details and then change the password every time you change it or stuff like that. You are able to buy individual licenses on our website. In terms of seats-based stuff, we tend to say sort of the minimum number of seats you can buy on there is 4, and then you can either sort of scale that up or scale that down.
Okay, thank you. Would you say that it's suitable for recording research interviews over Zoom or Teams? And what's the export format that would be suitable for other than captions?
Yeah, so that is another one of our Caption's sort of use cases. We spoke to, I remember being on the original conversation probably about a year ago now with someone at Lancaster University, and they were saying, you know, that's a huge market that people that's it's sort of a huge area of education, and not only education but journalists, management consultants, all that kind of thing. Even if outside of education, being able to have a transcript for one of those interviews and then being able to make notes alongside it is really, really useful. So it can definitely be used in that area. And the export types, there is actually a really long list that I should have showed you, but if you can name an export, it will do it basically.
Okay. So we could export without the timestamps if you just wanted the transcript bit, so to a Word document or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a Word document, there's a text file, and yeah, that would be it. The only thing is, at the moment, something we're working on and we regularly get asked is about speaker diarization. We currently don't have that. You can turn something on where it will say speaker 1 or speaker 2, but you would need to sort of manually go through and change that person's names throughout. So that's something we're working on at the moment. So although it doesn't sort of tick all the boxes in terms of interviews, it does the brunt of the work for you.
Okay, I've got a question, and then there's another one just in the Q&A, and that was around, you showed the option there for the transcript to be edited by somebody else. Does that somebody else also need a license, or can that be for somebody within like the disability area, or off to a support worker or something that may be editing on behalf of the student?
They do need a captioned license, so they would, in order for it all to sort of like be synced up and for it to be able to actually edit the exact same transcript, and then have all those exportable files from it, they would also need to have a captioned account, and then that's how they would sort of transfer the documents to each other and then get the notifications from the task assignments.
Okay, which probably then leads to the last question that's there. I think there's a few people I think will be contacting you, and yeah, Jack's email address is there, but we'll also put that up onto the website along with the webinar as well. But the last question, and one was probably on everybody's mind as well, is cost. That's there.
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable. And what I didn't do was convert it to Australian dollars, which was not very good. So let me just have a quick look. But if we were to look at, for example, a seats-based license, a seats-based license would be, for example, say 5. There are actually 2 different versions with the seats-based license. So you can buy what we call a pro account, and a pro account comes with 3,000 captioning minutes a month. So that's a rolling month contract kind of thing, and that is. Let me just convert it to Australian dollars for you. So one pro license is 1,005 Australian dollars for the year. So then if you wanted, for example, a 5-seat license for that under the same premise, that would be, let me just change that across. oh no, that's the wrong box to paste that into. That is a about $5,030 for a 5-seat pro license. But then what we also have is a light license as well. So a light license will give you 1,000 minutes a month instead, and so that is significantly cheaper. It's about half the price. So one light license would cost in dollars $523, and then if you wanted, say, for example, five of those, that would be about 2,620 Australian dollars for a 5-seat license, light license. We then also do site-wide licenses. So if you wanted to give this to every student in your entire university, that would be the site-wide license, and what that would cost is around, as an example, around sort of like 20, let's say 25,000 as an example. What would that be in in Australian dollars? About 44,000 Australian dollars for sort of a site-wide license that you would give to every student in your university, if your university was sized between up to like 30,000 users, basically.
Okay, thank you. No more questions sitting there in chat. Just quickly looking through. No, I think everything's been put across into the Q&A. Excellent. I'll say thank you very much, Jack, for that, and for giving us a demonstration of Captioned. I keep referring to it as CaptionEd, just purely because of the website address that's there, Caption.Ed, CaptionEd, but yes, Captioned. And thank you for demonstrating the tool. It's always fun to see a tool in the live environment without some of the sales pitch, and seeing it actually how it's reacting and showing it, as much as what it's really good at, the bits where it doesn't work so well. And I think the fact that there's been user feedback you're mentioning, which is driving the product and changing the product, is a great thing. So thank you very much, and thank you for getting up very early this morning to deliver this to us today. So just before we finish today, Jane will add a couple of links into chat for 2 of our upcoming ADCET webinars. One on Thursday next week, June 16th, we have a webinar on the LGBTIQ+ inclusive practices for people with disability, and on July 7th, a webinar on leveraging students' voices to strengthen student support. The ADCET webinars that we deliver often come directly from suggestions and feedback from practitioners across the sector, and it would be absolutely fabulous if you could take a quick minute to complete a short survey on today's session, which we'll also provide a link for. We do value your feedback, and it does help us in planning these sessions and future ones to make sure that they're relevant to the sector. So once again, thank you to Jack for the demonstration, our live captioner Donna from Bradley Reporting, and Jane in the background for organising and wrangling everything that makes these webinars possible, and to everybody for coming along today and participating. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.